All right, guys, welcome back to another one. So today, I'm going to be talking about my daily driver. I usually daily drive it. Sometimes I take the GTI, but for the most part, I do daily drive this car. I've owned this 2014 Maserati Ghibli, 2015 Maserati Ghibli for about 3 years now. Just kind of want to go over the whole ownership experience, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly, and address some common misconceptions about the car. So yeah, let's get right into it. Like I said, guys, I've owned this car for about 3 years now. I've put a total of, well, not just me, this was actually a rental I had periodically on Turo as well. So it was a rental for about a year. So I had all sorts of people driving it however they wanted to, unfortunately, which I had to end that because it was just not the best experience, but that's neither here nor there. But when I purchased this, it had about 40,000 miles on it. It now has 108,000 miles on it. So some of the pros, obviously, it's a great looking car. This is not how I bought it. I did like the blackout package kind of on it. I did the blackout on the grab handles, the blackout on the chrome window trim, the badges, all that got blacked out. So I'll put up a picture of what it looked like when I first got it here. I also ended up doing black wheels. They're 20s, front and rear, and they're I think they're about 8 inches wide or 8.5 in the front, about 10 or 10.5 inches wide in the rear. And I do have spacers on the front and the rear to kind of make them more flush. So, but yeah, overall, car looks great. I had it recently paint corrected and ceramic coated to protect the black paint. I am in Florida, so I'm trying to keep the paint looking really nice. It's one of those cars that they really haven't changed a whole lot. Even the new ones, 2023s, 24s, 25s, they look almost identical. There's some minor cosmetic changes. They did a little bit to the interiors as well, but for the most part, they look pretty much the same, which is good because it helps these cars age. So you can get a 2014, 2015, 2016, and it doesn't look like it's 10 years old, which is a huge benefit. I'll give you a walk around, guys, of the car just so you can see. I did the carbon mirror covers. I did the carbon, that's just a vinyl wrap on the B-pillar there. I did the blackout logos, blackout trim around the windows. I blacked those out as well. Those are usually red, blackout logo. It's a little dirty. It's been sitting. Haven't really had a chance to wash it. We've gotten some rain. But really good looking car overall, especially for the mileage. Now, I did swap out the seats. I got a great deal. This actually used to be tan on the interior. And we'll talk about the center console and the interior in a little bit, just so I can kind of go over that with you guys. But I'll turn this on too. I just did that in suede. The headliner and the pillars are all suede. We did the starlights on the headliner. I'll turn that on for you guys so you can see. But the seats I actually got off of eBay. I believe they're out of a Levante. This is not the way the seats usually look. Even if you have the red interior in the Ghiblis, it's not usually how the seats look. They usually have a different type of shape to them. But I like these seats better. They're a little more sporty looking. But I got the front and rear seats, the whole set, for $750. And then I actually sold my old light tan seats for $500 to a guy who was building an old Chevy truck, and he ended up using the tan seats in the truck. So really, I'm only into these seats for about $250, and great shape. A little bit of wear on them, but still really, really good shape. I'll turn the interior lights on for you guys so you can see the starlights. All right, guys, so there's the starlights. I actually did that myself. It was a real pain because you have to drop this whole sunroof assembly to be able to do the sunshade. So that was fun. But yeah, the pillars were tan. The sunroof and the headliner were all tan. They were in suede, but I wanted to get rid of the tan because the tan with the red seats didn't look great. I wanted to just have it all black and red. So it came out really good. I also did the steering wheel. So these steering wheels, if you see them, we're going to get more into the interior on these. That's the only real downside of these, is the interiors all fall apart. This door panel I replaced before, and you can see it's pulling there. They all do it. It's not just a matter of if, but when. Same thing with the center consoles. They get worn out. This was a rental, so this one got worn out as well. I've replaced this once already. I'll probably replace it again, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Just not touch it or something. I don't know. But I ended up rewrapping the steering wheel The leather up top gets all nasty. I've tried to repair a couple of times and it didn't work out, but this was actually a really great solution. So let me turn this off. This I got off of eBay, and this is just fabric that wraps around your original steering wheel, and then you actually hand stitch it. They give you like a needle and a thread, and you stitch it, and it takes a little bit of time. It took me like probably an hour to do the bottom, maybe an hour and a half, and like an hour and a half to do the top. A little time consuming, but I think that was like 50 bucks, and it looks great. The leather feel is really, really good. And then I just got these covers, these carbon covers to go with it as well, and it makes it look like a whole new wheel, brings a little bit of the red to it as well. There's a cheap fix. I think it was like 50 bucks, like I said. So, and then I also did the leather floor mats there. Brings a little bit of the red into there too, helps protect the factory carpets. Same thing, like I said, these are falling apart. You know, I guess you could probably pull them off and re-glue them, but that happens to every single Ghibli. It doesn't matter, you know, when. It's only a matter of time before they start to pull like that, unfortunately. And then the center consoles, they all wear. So that would be a couple of the cons. As far as the car overall would just be that the interior is not the best. The exterior is great. I haven't had any like paint issues. I'm in Florida and the paint still looks like new. I do take care of it and spray wax it, ceramic coat it. Another common issue with these is the dash pulling. Now this is tinted. This windshield actually has, I want to say, 35% on it, and I think that's really helped because these dashes, what happens is they shrink from the sun, and then the material pulls and you get these wrinkles and it looks like crap. So, and it's really expensive to fix or replace. So I think just having this, and then I also would keep a sunshade on it, that's helped a lot. But that's another common issue on these is for the dash to shrink, and then it, you know, there's really not a way of fixing it. You just kind of have to replace it, unfortunately. A lot less now. 15 to 20 grand will buy you a lower-ish mileage one. As they get up in mileage, like 100,000 miles or over, you can find them for around 10 grand. And that's a lot of value for money, right? Like you're talking something that has 400 horsepower. In some cases, they're all-wheel drive. This was the base model with rear-wheel drive, but I did put a tuner on it. So if you do have the base model, I'd highly recommend the tuner. I forget exactly what it's called. I'll put the link in the description, but there's 7 modes to this. On mode 7, it adds almost 100 horsepower, and this thing is crazy. Like it's super fast, but it's so comfortable and smooth. You almost forget how fast you're going. Like you'll be doing over 100 miles an hour, and you look down, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing over 100 miles an hour. Super quiet, super comfortable. Inside, you could be doing, you know, 100 miles an hour. It doesn't feel like it. So that is one pro to this car, is that it's fast. I wouldn't say fast. I'd say it's quick, especially to today's standards where you have these Teslas doing 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But regardless, this car is 11 years old. So for the year and for the amount of power that it makes and for how heavy it is, this is like it's over 4,000 pounds. I think it's like 4,300 pounds. Definitely fast for what it is. And the sound is great. So I'll do a cold start for you guys so you can hear it. I do have the baffles. There's baffles in the exhaust that when you hit sport mode, they open and it makes the exhaust louder. I have them open and I disconnected the vacuum pump so that they're always open whether I'm in sport mode or not. And it sounds really good. So I'll do a cold start video for you guys so you can hear it, but this is one of the best sounding cars I've had. I've had VR6 VWs that sound really good. I've had a bunch of really good sounding LS cars as well, but this twin turbo V6 sounds great, guys. So let me do a cold start for you. Guys, that's one thing I really like is the exhaust note. Sounds great. It's still so quiet inside the car though that You don't really get that drone. You get a little bit of exhaust note, but it's not unbearable. It still makes for the ride to be quiet and comfortable. I still like hearing the exhaust a little bit anyway, but yeah, I get a lot of compliments on the way it sounds. It's got that deep growl to it. Another pro I would say about this car is the gas mileage. If you can keep your foot on it, if you put it in like ice mode is what it's called, it's increased control and efficiency, you can get in the 20s, like low to mid 20 miles per gallon, which is pretty good for something that is 4,000 pounds with 420 horsepower, twin turbo V6. You know, that's close to like naturally aspirated 4-cylinder territory, right? Like low to mid 20s. It's pretty decent. They do require 93, especially when you tune it, so that's a downside. It's a pretty big fuel tank. I want to say it's like 15 or 16 gallons. So you're talking with 93. I'm in Florida. Gas prices, it's like $3.50 to $3.75 for 93. You're talking probably about 60, 65 bucks to fill it, which is like the size of, you know, an SUV, 15, 16 gallons. So a little costly to fill it up, but gas mileage is not bad considering. Another pro to these cars as well is the ride quality. So I do eventually want to lower it to get rid of some of the wheel gap, but at the same time, the ride quality with the stock suspension is really good. It's comfortable, it soaks up bumps and dips really well. It handles really well, so you can chuck it into a turn. There's not a whole lot of body roll, especially considering this is not a very lightweight car, like I said. So the ride quality is really solid. You know, and it's 4-door. You got plenty of room. You've got enough space in the trunk. The trunk is very large. I'll show you guys that in a second. You've got a back seat, so it's not as big as the Quattroporte. So this is almost like a coupe, slightly larger with 4 doors. The Quattroporte is a little bit longer of a wheelbase, so you're going to get more space on the inside, bigger trunk, etc. But I still like the way this looks better than the Quattroporte. The front end looks a little weird in my opinion on the Quattroportes, but the back seat is not huge. But I've had, you know, 5 adults in this car at one point, and they weren't complaining they didn't have enough space. It wasn't like super spacious, but still, you can still put 5 adults in here and still have enough space to, you know, have enough room for everybody. So here's the trunk, guys. Plenty of room. I mean, it's huge. Plenty of space for whatever you need to store back here. You've got pretty good leg room back here. Like I said, we've had 5 adults in here. No issues at all. All right, guys, so as far as maintenance, the biggest thing is to stay away from the Maserati dealership. A basic oil change for one of these is going to run you about 500 bucks, which is insane. It's just oil. It's just a filter. It's not like it's any different than any other car. They recommend Pennzoil Platinum Euro. However, if you go on Amazon, you got to buy 2 boxes because it's the only way it makes any type of financial sense. It's about 50 bucks for a box of 6, but you need 9 quarts for this motor. Ideally, you'd want to buy 2 boxes if you want to go that route. This way you'd have 3 left over for next time. That will run you about 150 bucks. I switched and I started using Mobil 1 full synthetic for Euro cars. So it's I believe it's a 5W40, way less expensive. These oil changes now cost me about 70 bucks. That's with an OEM filter. And I do those between 4,000 and 6,000 miles. You don't want to go any more than that. It's more important to change your oil frequently than it is to get the specific oil. Just having clean oil in these, that's the main killer of these motors, is lack of oil pressure. Sometimes it's just because you get a bad motor, or you know something happened and there's crap in the pickup tube, starves the motor of oil. That's super common in these, so I always check on the oil pressure. Oil pressure is great so far, even with 108,000 miles. But keeping your oil clean and oil changed frequently is huge for making these motors last. I've seen guys with 180, 200,000 miles on these motors, and they change their oil religiously, so that's a huge thing with these. Since I've owned this car, I've done brakes on the front, which I got off of eBay. Found a good quality rotor and a ceramic pad. They work great. They were like 200 bucks. Again, if I would have went to the Maserati dealership, it would have been thousands of dollars. It's insane. The AC also went out on me. The compressor took a crap at like 100,000 miles, which is pretty standard for most cars. Unfortunately, it's just a wearable item. I found a aftermarket compressor on eBay. I think it was like 250 bucks. I ended up doing it myself. It was super easy. When I say easy, I'm mechanically savvy, so it really wasn't that difficult for me. You have to take off the driver front wheel, pull the splash guard out. It's right there. There's, I think, 3 bolts that hold it in, and then the AC lines. You pull it out this side, put the new one in, have the system sucked down or recharged. That's it. You're talking thousands of dollars, probably $3,000 to $4,000 at a Maserati dealership for them to do that. I did it for a couple $100. Again, if you guys are not savvy, if you don't know how to work on your own cars, don't buy one of these, because if you have to go to the dealership, if you have to go to some type of Euro shop, the parts are insanely priced and the labor is insanely priced. You're not going to be able to afford it, especially if if you can only afford a $15,000 car to begin with, and you want something nice like this, it's going to eat you alive in maintenance. So, but again, if you can work on your own stuff, you can do your own oil changes, maintain it yourself, and you're good at shopping around for parts, you can own one of these and it's really not going to break the bank. A couple more things that have went wrong on this since I've owned it. The main intake boot that goes to the throttle body ripped. I ended up having one in my garage that I used for some snorkels on a Razor, Polaris Razor that I had. Ended up being the perfect size. Swapped that out, no problem. And then the coolant tank, the reservoir developed a crack, some plastic. Ended up finding one on eBay again. I think it was like $50. Swapped it out, no problem after that. Other than that, I have not had any leaks, no oil leaks, no weird noises, no transmission problems, no engine problems, no check engine lights. It's been pretty darn reliable, knock on wood. I haven't had any major issues with it. Again, I don't really beat the crap out of it. I maintain it, and that's the biggest thing with any vehicle. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to keep up on it, you have to maintain it, and it will last. All right, guys, so just to kind of recap, just going over the basic ownability of these cars and would I recommend one to a friend? It's kind of yes and no. I think I got lucky with this one. I'm hoping I can get another 100,000 miles out of it, especially since I've been keeping up on it. If you can get one with under 100,000 miles and you get it for cheap enough, I would say go for it, especially if it looks like it's been maintained and cared for. But again, it just depends. You have to be able to work on your own stuff, or you have to know a really good mechanic that's fairly priced, and you have to be able to shop around for parts and stay away from the dealership. If you can do all those things, get one. They're great cars. Like I said, decent fuel economy, value for money is there. The looks are great, especially if you do a couple little things to them, some wheels, tires, and some minor cosmetics. They look really good. Pretty quick for what they are. Like I said, 400 horsepower plus. If you tune it. The base model comes with 350. I want to say the SQ4 comes with 405. This one should have like 420, 430 with the tune. But yeah, great value for money. They look good. Some cons, expensive to maintain. Some things, like if I wanted to get different, when I was looking for the sun visors, those are like $300. It's insane. The center console that I had to replace, I got a good deal on the first one. All the ones I've looked for now, they're like $300. It's crazy. The amplifier actually went out and I had to replace that. That was $300. Little stuff like that. The interior will fall apart on you. It's not a matter of if, but when. The leather is really thin. It's really cheaply made. It's only a matter of time until it falls apart on you. That's a downside. Also, the radio, whether you have the Bose system, the Bangers and Olufsen, however you pronounce it, they're not good. You're going to want to get a sub. You're going to want to get some upgraded speakers and an amplifier. And the touchscreen unit is just the 8.4 Uconnect that you'd find in a Chrysler 300. So a lot of the pieces on the interior, not great. You can make them better. You can swap things out, but still, this car was $70,000 brand new. Somebody paid that for this, or just under that, and the quality is not really there, for my opinion, to justify that price, especially when you're taking pieces from a Chrysler or a Dodge product. So stereo, not the best. Interior, not the best. And then the radio, just the 8.4 Uconnect, I'm not a huge fan of that. A better radio would have been better with a nicer screen. But again, I'm just being picky here. Value for money, if you can get these for under 20 grand with lower mileage, I think it's a good buy. You guys can be the judge. I know a lot of people that have had these and love them. I know people that have bought them and absolutely hate them. Another issue too is that there's not a lot of aftermarket support for these. So even just having to take the headliner out, I had to figure out on my own. A lot of the people who buy these, they're not enthusiasts. They're just people that want to buy these to look a certain way, to be able to take a picture with a nice watch and the Maserati logo on their steering wheel and flex on Instagram. Like, they're not actually enthusiasts that like to work on their own cars and modify them. So anything that you're going to do, most of the time, you're going to have to figure it out. There's not a lot of YouTube videos on how to do these things. So That's the other downside to it. But again, guys, I like it. I don't plan on getting rid of it anytime soon, unless it gives me any, you know, crazy problems. But as of right now, it's here to stay for a little bit. I want to lower it, do some probably some coilovers, or even just some eye block lowering springs, just to get rid of some wheel gap, and that'll be pretty much it. Probably upgrade the radio to a better touchscreen. That'll be it. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.